The main goal of a parent is to provide their children freedom under guidance. Hey, I'm Rohan, and well, in this video, I would like to discuss a very common and normalized problem in our society, which is so common that we don't consider it a problem and misinterpret it as love. Well, I'm talking about children and parents. I'm talking about raising a child with utmost moral values. Whenever we talk about harms done to children, we normally think about pedophiles or abusers. And yes, they are a problem. And I believe that anyone that hurts a child, makes use of their innocence, should be held accountable for the highest degree of punishment. And I don't think that there should be an exception. Yes, the individual might have problems and this and that, but just because of your individual problems, you cannot justify this anything that you do to any other people. I have a statement that I use. It's understandable, but not acceptable. Even pedophiles, I don't necessarily hate the individuals. I hate their actions. And I can understand that yes, there can be some incidents in their life that might have caused them to be such a way. And I do have compassion for them, but only up to the point where they have not acted upon their urges, where they have not hurt anyone else except for themselves. Once you cross that boundary of letting your emotions take hold and you choose to act on those emotions, it is understandable, not acceptable. Well, coming to the main point about raising a child, we see it so often. A parent regulates their child's life. It's so common to see that parents, they feel like they have rights over their children. I would like to provide you a very different point of view. The only right over the children's decision you have is while giving them birth. Other than that, every single decision that they are going to make should be their own understanding. Now again, when I say this, I mean it when the child is not hurting someone else. The decision that they are going to make should be theirs. Of course, not just because your child wants to do something, the world does not bend around them. Of course, that is common sense. What I mean is, if they are making personal choices, if they want to do something, if they decide that they don't want to be what you want them to be, it is completely fine, and they are not a bad person for not abiding your rules. I am very fortunate in this sector. My parents, they have never forced me to do anything, and I would like to continue this when I become a father. Well, I am pretty far from becoming one, but whenever I do, I would try not to impose myself on them. There are many things that I if I could live again, I would do differently. When I was small, I used to sit in my room and watch television most of the days. And now that I look back into it, I feel like I could have maybe like joined some classes. Like I could have gone out and met with people and this and that. And if I could relive that, I would probably do it. But just because I have certain regrets in my childhood does not necessarily mean that I would reflect upon it on my child. Just because I thought that I should have explored more, I should have been more active, does not mean that I would force my child to be, you should be more active, because I have been in your shoes and I know what it's like. The thing is, I do not regret those decisions, because at the end of the day, every single decision in my life led me to be who I am today. And even though I'm not perfect, I am completely fine with whoever I am. There are many flaws that I have, there are many mistakes that I've made, and there are many people that I've hurt. That last part is the only thing that I have regrets in. Other than that, every single mistakes and failures, they are mine. No one forced them upon me. That is my win. That is my life, and that is my experience. The only thing that I wish to do for them is, number one, teach them how to think independently, and number two is to provide them a home. There's a difference between a house and a home. You see it so commonly that children, they do something wrong and then they are afraid to come home, and they're afraid to tell their parents because they might get punished for it. They might be yelled at. No one wants to be yelled at, of course. So they don't tell their parents anything. They hide things from them. But I feel like that is a very subtle but very harming way of mentally torturing your child. It is saying that if I'm not perfect, then I'm not good enough for my parents. And that is a very harming way to think about life, especially when you are just a kid, when you don't know any better than to look to your parents and then make assumptions and decisions based on your parents' behavior. I do not want my child to make a mistake, to fail an exam, and then be afraid to come home and tell their father that, well, they've messed up. There's so many kids that take their life because they cannot confront their parents. And they have failed as a parent. I know I haven't been a parent, so I cannot fully grasp what it's like to be one. But if your child does not feel safe around you to tell you that I messed up, if he's not comfortable enough with that, what have you done? My main message of making this video is to provide a new way of looking at it, of providing your kids with a level of freedom. What I understand of parenthood, the main goal of a parent is to provide their children freedom under guidance. Because orphans, people that don't have parents, they have freedom, but they don't have guidance. If life gets too hard, there is no one to protect them. That is when a parent is needed. Not to control every single action of your life. No, you are your own unique individual. There is no need to live by someone else's standard, even by your parents' standard, if that is not what you want. Because let me tell you, just because they are your parents and just because you are their son or daughter does not automatically mean that you owe them everything. Okay, I'm not saying abandon your parents. Absolutely not. Look at their actions, look at how they've treated you, look at what struggles they've done, and also understand that they are not perfect either. They don't have means of social media where a stranger is giving them advice. No, it is difficult for them to understand us and it is difficult for us to understand them. Have that compassion. Be a human being and forgive them. And live your life the way you want to. And treat them right. But do not let their expectations